Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Mercury in conjunct Chiron in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They were a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is if you have Mercury in conjunct Chiron in a natal chart, there may be an adjustment, which is the inconjunct may be needed between your communication, which is Mercury, and emotional and physical wounds, which is Chiron. Now, one or the other may be overemphasized. It could be where you may communicate so much to the expense of dealing with emotional and physical wounds, or it could be the other way around. There may be times when you can be so dominated by taking care of emotional and physical wounds where you don't devote nearly enough time for what I call mercurial matters, which can include communication, and assimilating information, whatever it could be. Those are, and it's the thing is to find the balance and equilibrium between the two energies. And the thing is, let's say if Chiron is in Aries as an example, the emotional, physical, well, there may be physical wounds that are associated with the head, the face, the skull, the eyes, or the brain even. And emotional wounds may be tied in with maybe it was some physical confrontations that have been had by this person. It could be verbal battles, or difficulties with the expression of leadership prowess and ability, as some examples. Now, another thing too is that the mind, which is Mercury, may either excessively be on helping and healing, which is Chiron, or otherwise just simply not at all. And the thing is, really, because Chiron is connected, with helping and healing others, and the mind being Mercury, the mind may either be on it intensely, or you may be mentally oblivious to these things. Now, if say if Chiron is in Taurus as an example, you may be someone that helps and heals others through monetary difficulties or matters with persistence, patience, perseverance, accumulation of possessions, resources, as some examples, gaining financial stability. And the thing about it is, you don't want to have the mind dominated by these things to the expense of others. It's important to, if you want to think and formulate plans to help and heal others, but not to the, constantly to the expense of other things, whether it could be matters pertaining to the self, the family, the home, whatever else it could be. Now, another thing too is that if there are any issues with the hands, the arms, the nerves, the lungs, or breathing, which is Mercury, it may either dominate the person to the expense of dealing with the emotional suffering, which is Chiron, or vice versa. It could be at times if the person is going through some emotional suffering, some pain, anguish, which is Chiron, that could dominate to the point of the person may not be taken care of. If there's physical related issues with the hands, the arms, the nerves, or breathing. So, again, inconjuncts can be about distortion, vacillation of energy. It's important to find again the balance and the equilibrium between the energies. And the thing is, let's say if Chiron is in the zodiac sign Cancer as an example, there may be emotional suffering connected with matters associated with the home, the family, safety, security, matters of protection, even it could be introversion, whether it's maybe too much introversion, or maybe being dominated by that is causing could be causing some issues It could be, just, things that whatever could be, Cancerian related, or maybe there was a, real estate deal, just matters with real estate, or even home renovation or remodeling is something maybe had gone awry with that, which is causing, could be causing some strong emotional suffering. Now, another thing about this aspect as well is that you may either use an exorbitant amount, or take an exorbitant amount of short journeys, which is Mercury, to deal with depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron. Then you may go for extensive or prolonged periods with none whatsoever. It's either too much or too little. If you have say, if Mercury is in Pisces, as an example, those short journeys may be very chaotic and convoluted. I mean, Mercury in Aries can be short journeys that are very abrupt, impulsive, spontaneous, as some examples. And let's say if you have, Chiron in Libra, as an example, matters pertaining to depleted self-esteem may be tied in, with relationship, partnership issues with, the law, legal matters, having things in an equitable manner, having things, at, peaceful, balanced. This is where, there can be, either too much or too little energy, and taking short journeys. Some of you may wonder, well, how would taking short journeys have anything to do with dealing with depleted self-esteem? Well, it could be going, to places, friends' homes, or people at businesses, or going to some place, like, say, to work out vigorously, to help maybe improve how you feel about yourself, things of that nature. Now, anyway, also too, there may be some vacillation between frequently thinking, which is Mercury, about one's deepest wound, which is Chiron, or you may be basically what I would call mentally oblivious to it. Now, if you have Chiron, say, is in Sagittarius, there may be the deepest wound, may be tied in with matters with higher education or college learning. It could be something connected with something that was published or advertised, or some religious or philosophical, viewpoint, or difficulties, in matters, pertaining to a religion or some religious, congregation. It could be something associated, with something sports related, or it's really something connected with expanding horizons, maybe difficulties in terms of expanding one's horizons, and some emotional suffering due to that, and maybe could be the deepest wound that one deals with. Now, another thing too is that communication, writing, and manual dexterity, which is Mercury, may either monopolize your time to the expense of dealing with the suffering, which is Chiron, or vice versa. It could be a situation where you're dominated by the suffering that you're enduring, to the point where you deprive yourself of matters with communication, writing, and manual dexterity, which can include working on autos, or refrigeration, auto refrigeration mechanics. Now, another thing, well, let's say if Chiron is in Scorpio, as an example, the suffering may be tied in with issues of power and control, transformation, or issues trying to deal with crisis or upheavals. As some examples, maybe some death that took place, that you're just you're going through more suffering than most people. Another thing too is there either may be too much or too little emphasis in terms of finding that key, which is Chiron, to alleviate the suffering connected with the Chiron placement. So if Chiron is in Virgo, as an example, that key, may simply be, understanding that just, accepting imperfection could make one closer to actually being perfect. And infallible. Chiron in Libra could indicate, the suffering tied in, with relationships, but it may just be understanding that it's not about, necessarily quantity. It's about, the quality, and maybe having that relationship, with understanding, yourself may be the key in order to find, relationships, and have more success in them. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, every learner say and stay well.